Well, it puts the lotion on his skin, or else it gets the hose again. 1, 2, 3, 4. People soon, save my skin for people soon. Gonna wear it all over town. Gonna dig them up and skin them down and wear my people suit around. People suit is looking mighty sharp. Oh, well, poor old Eddie loved the dead, dug up their grave, chopped off their heads. He made them into clothes he could wear. Well, his works of art was awful dark and red and evil, awful sharp. He crafted him an outfit debonair. It was a people suit, save my skin for people suit. Gonna wear it all over town. Gonna dig them up and skin them down and wear my people suit around. People suit is looking mighty sharp. Oh, well, Ned's design is so divine, make people curtains, people lines. I'm sure that Martha Stewart would be proud. Well, his needlework go in berserk and whole thing rolls on him a jerk. Go ahead, we'll raise a glass and sing about. We're people suit, save my skin for people suit. Gonna wear it all over town. Gonna dig them up and skin them down and wear my people suit around. People suit is looking mighty sharp. All night long ago. I need a shovel and some scissors, boys. Dig them up, skin them down, and wear my people suit all over town. Dig them up and skin them down, and wear my people suit around. People suit is looking mighty sharp. Well, it puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. People suit is looking mighty sharp. People suit is looking mighty sharp.
Jesus Christ Hudson. Jesus Christ. Jesus, Rita Lombardi, Christ has risen, Hudson. You really are Satan, aren't you? You're a bad boy. Get out of that dingo.
In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders.
Oh, shit. That's assault. That's assault. Break that.
See that, Satan?
That's assault.
What happened?
Break that.
You thought it burned down there.
These people
Now
are
it
going to
really
eject you
burns
from this
down
line.
there.
That's assault. That's assault. It is, you cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that.
Oh, Francis, I will be telling him exactly what happens.
These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that go? I will. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's assault. You cannot touch me like that. Break that. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that. That's assault. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will be assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that. Flop that chair here. Men, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. Break that. Flop that chair. Men, flop that chair. Men, flop that chair. Men, these people are going to eject you from this line. Break that. That's assault. Break that. Men, break that. Oh, I will. Men, that's assault. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Flop that chair here. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. Break that. Flop that chair here. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. It is. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will tell you exactly what happened. Break that. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that show? I will be. Excuse me. Ma'am. Excuse me. That's assault. Excuse me. Stop that chair. Ma'am. You cannot touch me like that. Rape. That's oh, I will be telling you. Rape. That's assault. That's assault. That's assault. Stop that. That's assault. Stop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will be assault. It is incredibly appropriate.
Oh yeah. Also, now should be a good time to tell you guys. Me and this person, the real Aussie Insider, who, while I haven't spoke to her, like, and heard her voice, I'm positive it's her. She gave me a wonderful apology. She said, it's all my fault. I'm sorry I got up in your business and took it all on the internet when you didn't want it to be all over Twitter or on the internet. And when even at that point, really, Miss Shortsy, she didn't want it on there either. So she said, I'm sorry. She said, I'm sorry. And I'm not being sarcastic at all. And this is definitely the real AI. I believe it. I did the OSINT. Yeah, but when you sent me that long, beautiful message, you said, I'm sorry. It was all my fault. And you know what? I said, forgiven. So we're cool now. You know, I mean, she's pretty much my best friend and I love her. And, you know, we're pretty much scissoring now. So get the fuck over it. That's her. Definitely. It has to be. Like, why would this person lie? She did have to get a new Twitter account, she said. And she did say she had to get a new email and that I should definitely believe her. So I believe her. You know, why would she lie? Why would she lie? So we're besties. We're cool. We might be girlfriends. I might have to tell Dylan. I don't know. I'm not even gay, but I guess I am now. So, you know, there you go. So, you know, yeah, I'm not warmongering. No, these are peace talks. Israel and Palestine came together. We're pals real now, dude. We're pals real. We couldn't handle each other at our chiefs, and now we're having each other at our pals. And you kids are just, you know, you don't want dad to date again. You know? No, she's my best friend. Get away from her. Get away from her. I'll tell her you faked it about the lung. And then wrap it up into a one time a day. This, Darlene? Harsh. Just kidding. I admire your honesty. I'm just kidding. I don't know what you're talking about, but I hope you're okay. I saw someone ask if you were okay. Are you okay? The data don't lie. Neither do we, because we're besties now. We love each other. Well, how the turntables, right? So you know what? I'm the U.S. ambassador now. I'm actually adopting a lot of little Aussie kids from the outback, and I'm going to bring them over here. And I'm going to chunk them. I'm going to yeet them in celebrity yards. Here, you take the baby. You fix it. It's yours now. It's your problem now. And a good day, mate, to you. They have pouches, I've heard. Clean the pouch. Squirrel gang. Dad's dating again. And you gave a good gum job. What can I say? And I like the snake you hang over your window. I think it's cute. Anyway.
I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Rape. Stop that chair here. Ma'am, you cannot touch me like that. It is that's assault. Rape. That's assault. Rape. Stop that chair.
Why would anyone on the internet lie?
Stop that chair.
Never even thought that was possible. People on the internet are not lying to you. They're all real.
That's assault.
They are all real. Everyone you've ever met on the internet is real.
That's assault. That's assault.
Oh, her? She looks like she's an AI blonde lady who's a reporter. Nope, that's a grown-ass beautiful blonde lady who's a reporter. Do not doubt her for a second. Oh, that? Right there, that's a real judge. Okay? That's a real court reporter. That's what that looks like. No one wants to lie to you on the internet. No, Dan. No, they don't lie. The internet never lies. The internet never lies. Everything you see online is this is all real. There is a freak off in Canada. Okay? Never a liar existed on the interwebs. Everyone on Wikipedia is telling the truth. Don't question. Don't question what we all know is real. Okay? Like the love between me and Australia. Listen, we are going to talk about Jack the Ripper today because today I remembered sarcasm does not translate well on Twitter. It just doesn't. And I saw the same story that comes up every couple of years pop up, and I went, oh, har, 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 because everybody's favorite, Ashley Banfield, old band nuts, old band this book, old Ashley Banana Fan Arena, whatever the fuck. She's fucking crazy, dude. Every time Ashley Banfield comes out with a new story about the same old shit, I have to look it up and go, that's assault. Because I know that it's not going to, I know it's like, it's either like, I know I've heard this before. This is not deja vu. Like, we've seen this. I know I've heard this before. I know she's a top journalist. I know she hosts the Crimies or whatever the fuck. We are doing more OSNet. I already did the OSNet. You know what's funny about this one? I did the OSNet like 7 years ago, and then 3 years before that, and then 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Like every couple of years, people do the OSNet on this exact same story. And here's what they're trying to do. They're trying to blame the Polacks. And here's the deal. I'm Polak. I'm a lot of Polak and a bit Latina. A little splash of some. All right? And I'm tired of them trying to corner us, okay? They got us with Kuklinski. Okay, fair enough. All the other skis. Everybody, we all have to suffer now? If you're a ski, stand up. Listen to me. It's not fair what they're doing to the Poles. All right? See you at the pole. See you at my house. Of course, it's racist. It's racist what they're doing to us. To my Polish brethren and sisterin. It's pissing me off. But here's the deal. They always say it's the same Polak. They always say it's the same fucking Polish dude. It's Aaron. It's always Aaron. First of all, Aaron with 2 A's in the late 1800s. You fucking kidding me? I mean, that's bizarre. That alone was shocking. Shocking. So I'm going to show you where it all stems from, okay? And there were countless references because it actually goes back a lot further than I thought. It goes back like 11 years. At one point, they cite 2 years before that, which would make it 13 years. So they've had this fella's DNA for a while. Okay? And I identify as Black Polish is pretty funny. You're Blowlish? Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Sandy Nana says hi and sends you hugs, Francis. Yeah, you're going to the mini mall. Also, Satan, I sent your email. Frank didn't like it. I don't know what to tell you, man. Black Polish is an oxymoron? How dare you? How dare you call me that? Okay. I also have one more thing before we get into this. And I promise not to go too far off base, but listen. Did you guys hear what your Papa Uncle Mike said today? Were you on the Young Jerk stream when Laura talked about Pearl Jam and her concert life and sneaking out of the house? When she was fucking grounded, she snuck out. She didn't tell me she was going to a Pearl Jam concert. Who were you talking about? Stone Temple Pilots, Red Hot Chili Peppers? Sending photos to your Uncle Mike? Laura? Satan identifies as dark. Satan does. You do. Uncle Mike for city council. Uncle Mike is running. He's talking about running for select board. Wow, dude. Wow. I flew to the computer to listen. I flew all day and night, and boy, are my arms tired. I'm telling you. I cannot think of anyone better other than Rita. No offense. No offense to Papa Uncle Mike. And right as I was thinking, you know who a dream team would be if this was like a president VP situation, even though it's not. It's a one-on-one. It's fucking sudden death, dude. It's sudden death. This isn't tag team wrestling. It is one-on-one for the title. And Uncle Mike, Michael, if you will, now that he's a politician, he's talking about running on a goddamn write-in ticket. He's Bernie Sandersing. And you know who I like? Bernie Sanders. He had the best meme. Sitting in that chair all pissed. All pissed as shit. Plumb pissed off he was. Best meme. Especially when he's sitting in the chair and he chases people off the podium. I love that shit. Imagine Uncle Mike posing like Bernie Sanders, sitting in a chair, legs crossed, arms crossed, mask on, boom, select board, done. I can't think of anyone better to lead us in the select board, BORED. Because we mimic, we follow. We check in with Bob from time to time. He's not necessarily the fearless leader that I would like to mirror. If we had a Papa Uncle Mike in there, oh shit. No sweat, dude. Chill. Play with the Mookies, walk the dog, smoke a hooter. Done. Fix the town. Toss that in there at the end. Save a community center. Call up Julia Stiles. I won't narc. Get over here. We got a community center to save. Holy shit. I can't think of anyone better. Other than maybe Rita. And I just have to put that disclaimer. And then as I was thinking what a dream team it would be, Papa Uncle Mike, Rita, not even a VPP thing. Like a split P, a P split P, a split P, split ticket. 2 presidents. How about that? Tag team prezzies of the select board. I don't even think they have a president, but we'll fucking make one. He can overthrow this. He can do a Trump. He can learn from the devil. Right, Hudson? He can go in there. We'll run a coup. We'll storm the select board. We'll storm them on Zoom in their houses. Satan's the president. It's up to him. What do you think, Papa Uncle Mike? Smoke's dope, pacifist, basically Smokey. Market 8, dude. But he's still going to stand up for himself even if Walter's waving a gun in his face. I appreciate that. He knows John Cena. Endorsed. Done. Fucking done. He's done. Like that. He's in. He's fucking in. I'm very interested too. But I'm also very interested in this. Listen, I looked up, as you know, the other day, the Massachusetts, and we are going to get to that, but I looked up the other day, and what perfect timing, right? Because get this, if you weren't there, if you missed the Young Jerks, first of all, go back. First of all, oh, the financier, listen to me. If you missed the Young Jerks, you're fucking grounded. Go to your room. All right, go to your room. Epstein, the financier, listen to me. Satan for Uncle Mike, thank you. Put that on the screen. I know you love coups, Daniel. I saw it on your face the moment I met you. When I hugged you, I said, this boy loves coups. And I patted you on the back and I cried in the bathroom. And I stole tampons that night. But listen to me. I can't think of a better ticket. But then as I'm having this fantasy moment, guess who the fuck? I know you do, honey. I know you only believe in Joe Hendry. And don't worry, he'll be there. He'll be there. We'll teach Uncle Mike to do the spin. He'll spin around and he'll smile. That'll win. We'll rip off Joe Hendry's gimmick. We'll give it to Mike. It'll be fine. Tombstones. I need you to get invested. I know you've got skills. I know you've all got skills. We can all contribute to Mike. Here's the thing. Also, that Aggie Pollock thing is very fucking funny, but I'm offended, so I'm not putting it up. But I'm only offended because how dare you? And that's hilarious and assault. Fuck, that's clever. Anyway, goddamn Aggies. So Papa Uncle Mike running for select board, right? He's talking about he's bouncing the ball around a little bit. He's thinking about he's playing with the ball. Guess who the fuck comes into chat like summoned from the heavens? Who right away? If you were in there, you saw me wig out. You saw me lose my fucking mind. You saw me fangirl. You saw me immediately start kissing ass. I said, everyone get out of my way. I have to kiss an ass. I have to spread some butt cheeks and kiss an asshole right now because I'm so in love. It was not Charon. No. I don't know who Charon is. I'd like to meet her. No, fuck Larry. I'm just kidding. Larry fucking rules. No, I wish it was John Cena. No, it was someone better. Come on. You were there. First of all, Frank, how fucking many gelada did they give you, hon? How could you not know of all people? How could you not know? Straight to the butthole kisses, Ernie. Straight there. Sally Portal. I was kissing ass and taking. Yes, Mia. Yes. Our queen, dude. Jesus, Rita Lombardi Christ was in the chat. Not only was Rita in the chat, but as I'm driving to Taco Cabana, guess who the fuck calls in to Uncle Mike? Besides Laura, guess who the fuck calls in? Fucking Rita. Fucking Rita, dude. I know it was embarrassing for you. I know it was. Because I was kissing her ass. I was I love you, Rita. I said, call me babe. Fucking love Rita, dude. Mike was so fired up. He could be the hippie Hitler. Like the way he, not like no, he's pro-Jews. He's like I'm saying, like how he was able to brainwash a lot of people to do many hateful things. Imagine someone who could brainwash a crowd to do positive, happy, chill dude things. Hitler. That's never going to work. That's never going to get, that could fuck me. I could get canceled for that one. Hitler? Like a hippie Hitler? No. But like pro-Jew. Like very pro-Jew. Like this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well for me. There's no way out of this. There's no way out. Don't go. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. The point is, he's a good speaker. But instead of saying evil things and trying to kill massive amounts of people, including my family, what if he was just like, everybody fucking chill. Chill your fucking jets. Settle your tea kettles, as Natalia Neidhart would say. Hitler? Cat with a Jesus Christ. Anyway, I double down. Okay, hippie Hitler. What if that is the No, that's not the campaign slogan. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Mitty, help me. Get me out of this, Mitty. I don't know where I'm going. I'm on the mountain. I'm lost. Rock Brian dropped by last night and he was so pleasant and I apologized to him. I said, I know you're disabled. I will buy you a beer. I'm so sorry. I thought you were a troll and you are not. You are Brian and you just take a minute to spell. And he said, cool, capiche. And everything's good. You're late but not pregnant. Fuck yes. No one's Hitler. We said Hitler, like a hippie Hitler, like a positive. Like if Hitler could brainwash the crowds to do good things and not kill the Jews. It's not a good idea. We're not going to Shark Tank with it or anything. I should stop talking. I'm going to stop talking now. Who said that? Who said that last night? Boopita bifida. That was very fun to say. Boopita bifida. Boopita beppo. Still have those shirts on sale. Haha. Boopita bifida. That takes a minute. I really like that. Okay. Anyway, I did. Yeah, I did. Hitler got a PR team. He's going by Hitler. No, he's dead. I hope he's dead. He's definitely dead. He shot himself. I'm not casting spells. God damn it. This is what happens when you get taken. Don't pimp the merch right now, Ernie. I made you my marketing executive. Don't pimp the merch right after Hitler. Bury it. Yeah, like if it's a positive brainwashing, like, listen, hey, how about this? Don't kill the Jews. Just chill, everyone. Smoke a doobie. Hippie. I don't think I can say Hitler on the internet. You already pimped the merch. Fucking Australia is going to love this. Say it 3 times in a row. Your furniture will float around. It can't possibly float. Hoogan's on it. These hips don't lie. That saved us. Thank you. Thank you, Star. Star fixed it. These hips don't lie. Here's the point. He happened to have Rita on. It was wow. It was star-studded. Larry Legend did come on. He did come on. He said things. Rita said things. Everybody said things. Okay. One lady got a little rude, got a little sassy about Rita. I almost punched her in the fucking jaw. Almost took her fucking jaw off. Almost ripped it off and then bit her cheek, but I didn't. Because she's an internet person. I can't touch her. But if I would have seen her face to face, I would have bit her in the cheek. I would have fucking took meat out. I would have Tysoned her ear. I would have ripped her fucking eyebrows off, that fucking cunt. How dare you talk to Rita that way? But it's kind of weird because in Boston, it's kind of like New York. Like people can insult you to your face and then it's like, cool, all right, I'll see you later. You have a good day. And everybody's just fine with it. I kind of like that. I mean, I grew up in an environment and I happen to pick friends in life where I don't know how it works out, but for some reason we can get in the worst fucking fights. And it's like, okay, what are you doing tomorrow for breakfast? Like, it's fine. We just, someone gets knocked out and then it's done. And then the next day you're like eating. Or like someone gets like fucking roasted and then it's done. And you just take the L. Now everybody is goddamn fucking, it's all got to be a whole thing. You know what I mean? Anyway, I feel like Uncle Mike can bridge a good divide. And his announcement happened to be on the week that I had just seen the Massachusetts Select Board Handbook. And I even pimped it the other day. I said, this is something that people should be checking out because it explains all the rules and regulations behind what makes a select board. And I thought, let's start off today by giving you a little bit of knowledge before everything happened. Okay, before all the Jack the Ripper stuff I'll tell you about happened, okay? There is a Massachusetts Select Board Handbook. Did you know there are over 1,200 Select Board members who serve their communities in Massachusetts? Fuck who killed all those ladies. 1,200 Select Board members. There could be one right behind you right now. You could be in an elevator and turn around, boom, Select Board member. Holy shit. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when they attack? They're trained by the Select Board. They're trained by MMA.org. Did you know that? MMA, Massachusetts Municipal Association. Men mutilating assholes. Do you realize this is the MMA that kicks the shit out of each other in a ring? That's who they're trained by, the Select Board. Do you realize Bob could kill you with one arm? He could break your coccyx. Okay, he could break your coccyx. We got to be careful out there, people. Anyway. Fine, let's talk about the murdery stuff. I'm over here trying to form a more perfect union of a select board so that we can uplift our uncle. And you guys, what is this? Monkeys making art? Where? They should cage fight. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Fine, let's talk about fucking Jack. Okay. So, Ashley Banfield hopped on the bandwagon. and also Rita said she loved me and she loved Aunt Deb, and she didn't say she loved any of you. So anyway, no big deal. This is I'm going in order. Some of these are very old. I want you to see. So today on Twitter, a whole thing went around, and it's from this guy who's a well-known troll, right? And he's this dude who has he's like Tyrese or whoever, or like John Cena. Like, he's got 1 million followers, but he also follows 1 million people. So a lot of times these accounts, they'll build up over time and then they'll sell off to someone. And then that person gets to keep the luxuries of an account, and they have to uphold it and they have to keep pushing content. But it essentially becomes a paid for bot account. And this guy reposted some articles in the past about Jack the Ripper that were kind of the same shit. We have found Jack the Ripper. This person says their uncle's cousin's baby daddy is Jack the Ripper. This guy's great-great-grand uncle, daughter, or whatever, is Jack the Ripper's so-and-so hairdresser. It's always a thing with this guy. So this morning, he posts, oh my God, they found the identity of Jack the Ripper. They got DNA, blah, blah, blah. It matches. It's 100%. It's solid. Fuck yeah. And everybody went ape shit. A week ago, a very popular true crime, but like a YouTuber that does like all the cut-ins, and they have all the, like, they're very well produced, and it's just very boing, like, it's funny. It's goofy shit. It's like what I listen to when I'm having a panic attack, and I'm just like, I need to know that the world is fucked a little more. So I watch a little Charlotte Dobre or some shit to chill. And she has a Canadian accent, I think. But anyway, this girl, she makes a video. It's got millions of views. People are like, oh my God, finally. And then you start seeing like all the true crime channels, the news channels, Good Morning America. They're all reporting it. It usually lasts about a week or two. This happened with a guy named Gary Francis Post with the Zodiac. It also happened prior to that with Arthur Lee Allen and a number of other suspects. Now, the closest that they've gotten, though, with Zodiac is Arthur Lee Allen, in all respects, because of new shit that was found. And honestly, that documentary was pretty goddamn convincing. And, you know, they had over 15 witnesses in it giving their testimony on this guy. So, in a way, Jack the Ripper has always kind of been the same shit, this Polish guy, over and over and over. It's always been the Polish guy. It's either that or a surgeon. And it's kind of been like that, like the Gary Francis Post thing. And some people look at it more like an Arthur Lee Allen. Like, this is more possible than you think. So much so that a guy bought a piece of crime scene evidence And he essentially he's a historian. And his whole deal is, I want to figure out who the fuck Jack the Ripper is. And there's cum on this piece of cloth that could be the guy. And I want to buy that cum rag. I'm going to give you a shitload of money for it. And you're going to give it to me and walk away. And this person who had it was like, okay. And they give it to him. And a lot. Yeah. H.H. Holmes was another one. Sweet and low key. That was another one. Everybody's like, it could have been him. There was a guy with the same name who went over on a boat. But here's the thing. There were like 20 H.H. Holmeses back then from that exact area. So like, who knows? There's also multiple guys with this guy's last name. And people often confused Aaron with another guy because apparently they were both Polacks who went in mental institutions and tried to stab their sisters. So basically this guy buys, 137-year-old cum rag or something. And he's like, let's test it. And every couple of years, a documentary comes out about, we tested the cum. And it's the only cum that's on this fucking thing this chick's wearing who got murdered. It's her blood and then that semen, so this has to be it. The problem though is that 4 of the 5 of his suspects were prostitutes. So I mean, if we were trying it in a courtroom today, I don't even know that a DA would uphold that, considering that we would have to have a lot more forensic analysis on that than they likely had back then. In fact, we're going to get into that. But what's very interesting about that is that it had been, let's just say, the evidence log, the chain of command in the Karen Reed case, nothing on this. I mean, it had been chunked from historian to person and it had been left in bags, and God knows who handled it back then. Not to mention, if she was a prostitute, the victim, there is a possibility that it could have been a gentleman before him or before that one. There's just a lot of, the jury's out on this. So I'm going to show you a couple of the news articles that are the news reports that came out over the years about this same cum stain, essentially. And they say DNA, but it was cum. So let's go ahead and we're all adults. Like, let's just be honest. It was fucking cum. And they tested it a lot. They've tested a lot. And I'm going to show you why people, like, basically the verbiage that they're using now and why people are freaking out about it now. And we're going to debunk a couple of things, okay? So here we go.
Victorian serial killer Jack the Ripper sought his victims in East London. He killed 5 women, all sex workers in London, some 126 years ago. But police had been unable to identify the notorious killer. Now, a man who describes himself as an armchair detective claims he has evidence to unmask the identity of the criminal who eluded all investigators.
I'm 100% certain. Definitive proof, conclusively proven, put the case to bed. We've done this.
Edwards enlisted the help of a forensic scientist to analyze a shawl said to have belonged to one of the victims, Catherine Eddowes. She was found dead in Meter Street, now in the heart of London's financial district. Dr. Yari Luheladen developed a series of new techniques to test the shawl. He said he was able to isolate DNA found on the garment. He's now linked it to the descendants of both the victim and the Polish immigrant, Aaron Kominski, one of the original suspects in the case.
The DNA doesn't really lie. So if you have a long stretch of human DNA that doesn't appear from nowhere, so it's that's how sure we can be.
So just to be clear, there were a couple of different forensic analysts who were dealing with this, forensic scientists and analysts who dealt with the actual testing and then analyzing it. And they had to get historians involved because, much like when they were testing cloths, like or textiles, I should say, like the Shroud of Turin, for example, they can actually go back now and they can see how old these cloths are based on all sorts of microscopic evidence, minerals, different types of erosion that might have piled on them, if it was something that was perhaps buried, the way it rots, the humidity, if there were ever bugs touching it. Like, there's so much shit that they can do. Kind of like how you cut a tree and you see the rings. But imagine if they weren't glaring, if you had like 5 or 6 different avenues you could go. Everything from, dog shit. It was blood on the scarf, but that was from her. There was semen from him. So the blood on the scarf they knew was hers. They didn't know who the seminal fluid was from. Sorry, I just want to answer that because that's a good question right there. Anyway, so basically what they do is they can take these cloths now and they can figure out also the fibers. They can compare them to other fibers from textiles at that time in specific regions. If silk was not available here, but it was available here and it would have had to come by ship this way, stuff like that. It's very, very interesting. So you've really got 3 layers at that point of different types of forensic science, all focused on one textile, one cloth. Then you have to consider, is there hair follicle? Are there hair follicles? There was one FBI report I read about about a case where they really mishandled some evidence. The local police that had it, and they left a blanket out to just kind of mold instead of cooling it or putting it in or drying it and then testing it. And there were millions of hairs. And in this case, they reported to the public and the press for over 30 years that there was one solitary hair found at the scene, when in reality, there was so many. They were just stuck in this muck on this blanket. So over the years, they can go in and they can pluck those little hairs out, and they called it a hair pulling party. So they go in there and they do that. And even though it had been so many years and it had undergone so much trauma, this piece of cloth, there's now the forensic science that can pluck that hair. And in some cases, depending on, what other DNA is available, they can do a biometric face makeup of potentially what the suspect looks like. If it's just hair, then they can at least go back to their origin, where they start, like early shit. Like, when you're looking at 23andMe, and it can go all the way back to the fucking cavemen and shit. They can literally see where your bloodline began, where your family started. It's so insane what they can do now. So what they're doing is they're starting to allow private companies to come in and work with some of these private investigators and with law enforcement, but they're way more open to it in the UK, it seems, in my opinion, than the US. You see a ton of crimes being solved over there in the UK and in Australia that really rely on private forensic scientists and basically are hired by the families with the blessing of the police and the police. Yeah, Authorin Labs, for example, like almost grassroots funding. I mean, that's what it is. We have that here. You can grassroots fund a cold case. But it's way more widely acceptable there, even for active cases, it seems. In Scotland Yard, the more I would research it, the more it seems that they are very, very open to doing open DNA testing. They're very inviting to forensic genealogists. Now, whether or not that upholds in a court of law there, it kind of depends. They seem to also be a little more open to learning exactly what happened in the crime and not so much as following procedure like we do. Like here, a completely guilty person can get off on a technicality, and there it seems like it's less likely to happen. Just my opinion. Yeah, Parabon Nanolabs are the ones that can do the full biometric facial makeups. They caught that DJ. That was pretty crazy. Anyway, just keep in mind, there's a lot of people invested in this rag right now.
The author and the scientist hope their discovery will help the Metropolitan Police finally close one of London's darkest and most enduring mysteries.
Permit me to introduce you to Sir Polydor de Kaiser. Hotelier?
Okay, this is a long ass motherfucker. This is not the one that I meant to put up. I meant to just put it up at a specific timestamp. This goes into far too much. We're not going to watch that whole thing. Fuck that. That is a very long and boring one, and I just wanted to clip a part of that. But we're going to go to this next one. So the one that you just saw That one is from 3 years ago. So keep that in mind. Okay, now this one is from 10 years ago. So this one that I just showed you from 3 years ago, same guy, Aaron Kaminsky. Now we're going to watch one from 10 fucking years ago. 10 years ago. All right? Crazy how long this guy has been talked about. I mean, really since the investigation. But it's kind of funny how literally every couple of years it's like, oh my God, it was Aaron. Like, come on, for fuck's sake. Here we go.
British scientists are finally revealing the DNA evidence they say helped solve one of history's biggest crime mysteries, the identity of Jack the Ripper. Back in 1888, the notorious serial killer murdered and mutilated the bodies of 5 women in London. Vladimir Dudier of our streaming network, that's CBSN, shows us why an immigrant from Poland is now a leading suspect. Vlad, good morning to you.
Good morning. The savagery of Jack the Ripper's crimes terrorized the residents of London. No one was even charged, although the police have had their suspicions. Now, more than a century later, modern...
Hudson, how dare you? Of course we will watch 3 hours of flea market commercials. And yes, I will draw the line at that. That guy's voice, he's like the British Lally. I'm not going to make you listen to that.
Technology may have finally unmasked the elusive killer. Few criminals have captivated the world's imagination like Jack the Ripper.
Altogether a different breed of killer.
This silk shawl is believed to be the last piece of physical evidence left from his killing spree more than 130 years ago. 2 biochemists who analyzed it say they detected the DNA of Catherine Eddowes, Jack the Ripper's 4th victim, in apparent bloodstains. They also found a semen stain they believe came from Aaron Kosminski, a 23-year-old Polish barber who at the time was a prime suspect. Researcher David Miller.
I think the fact that there are two signatures which appear to match signatures from descendants.
Okay, so this is important. I wanted to show you. So the one that I was going to show you in that long ass documentary, I didn't want to go through 30 minutes and find it. I had it timestamped. That's on me. But they're showing it here. So that's what's important. So what's interesting in the other one, which is 3 years old, you will notice different cuttings. So over here, it's actually going to come up to right about there. And then this part is going to be all intact. And then on another video from 11 years ago, you're going to notice that it's almost completely done, but they're like completely uncut, right? But then there's like a little clip out of the corner. If you look at the ones from like 2 years ago or a year ago, you're going to notice it goes further back. So apparently, and I say apparently because I've been reading a lot of journals on forensic scientists who are commenting on how they fucked this up. And I'm going to show you 2 of them that are the National Forensic Science Journal's response to this whole situation in 2019. And then a response to that response a few years later after more testing was done. But it's interesting because you can see how big the cuttings are going, but the main stain is over here, and people seem to complain about that a lot. But what people don't notice or realize is that this is the main wound area. So this is where she predominantly obviously bled out onto the scarf. Here at the end, where all the cuttings are, is where they are said to have found his seminal fluid. So this is the blood, this is the semen. That's why this part's all cut up and this part's not. With this part, they had a small cutting and they were able to just swab it recently. Here we go.
Increases the confidence that what we're looking at is something which is real.
Miller and his co-author published their data for the first time in a scientific paper last week. They said the semen stain contained fragments of mitochondrial DNA, genetic material children inherit only from their mothers, that match Kosminski's living relatives. Author Russell Edwards, who hired the scientists to conduct the DNA test, originally disclosed the findings in his book, naming Jack the Ripper. He spoke to Sunday Morning in 2015.
So he did not disclose, he was not the one to disclose those findings. He's actually the guy who ended up buying the scarf from an original guy. That guy said the same thing. It's fucking Aaron Kaminsky. And then the guy before that said the same thing. This has actually been tested and handed off something like 5 times. It's really remarkable. And every time it is, a news story comes out about it. And this guy wrote a book about it because he wanted to lay claim to it. So let's keep going.
We've proved this.
That's what I was saying.
All the story absolutely fits like a jigsaw puzzle.
I think they come up with rather convincing evidence.
Dr. Stanley Nelson, a UCLA professor of human genetics, says the DNA case against Kosminski is strong, but not completely ironclad.
They're not identifying a unique person. Actually, it's about 1 in 50 to 1 in 100 individuals in modern England have this mitochondrial type.
Kosminski died in an asylum in 1919. The British biochemists say their original aim...
Also, here's the important part. This is the good news. So as it relates to this specific testing that it was done recently on the seminal fluid, they now claim to have a 100% direct match, apparently, to a young lady who would be a direct descendant of this guy. Now, because they claim it does not necessarily still mean that this is the guy. Because again, sorry, I just saw what you said, Jessica. Because like Tombstones, I believe said, was it you, Tombstones, just a minute ago? Yep. The Polish guy could have just been a client. Great point. 100%. Now, here's another thing. They didn't necessarily, everything that I've read and every report, every study, and every little bit of evidence that has been released on, and no pun intended, on this subject matter, specifically this stain, they did not necessarily, they didn't really have the forensics back then to see what overlapped what. So it could have been mixed there. It could have been there before the murder. It could have been there on top after the murder, but that's not really how it worked. Now, because they were able to link that semen stain to a direct descendant, that does not necessarily mean that that guy killed her. And that is also 1 of 5. So I would argue linking him to all 5 would be an even bigger stretch. Let's keep going.
Was not to learn Jack the Ripper's true identity, but to see how far they could stretch modern scientific techniques to analyze minute DNA samples that were over 100 years old, Bianna.
Once again, modern science solving age-old mysteries, right? Thanks, Vlad.
It's an age-old mystery that has gripped the world for more than a century. Jack the Ripper, the mysterious serial killer whose identity has long remained a mystery.
That is.
Until now.
Yeah. DNA from a shawl recovered at the scene of one of his crimes has incredibly found a 100% match. Well, for more, we are joined by the historian who made the bombshell discovery, Russell Edwards in London. Russell, good evening to you. Tell us about the match. Who is this person behind the infamous name?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. So the name of the murderer, which has always been known, the name is Aaron Kosminski.
Oh.
He was a Polish immigrant Jew that came over to Whitechapel in 1881 with his brother. And he was 23 at the age of the murders.
Okay, let's talk about...
the picture showing there, he's 16. That's when he came over.
He's got demon eyes. Those are some demon eyes. Okay, so here's the thing. Notice how this guy is a different guy than the last guy who had the semen scarf and said, hey, it's Aaron. And then the other guy from years before who said, hey, it was Aaron. And then another guy. So now we have another guy, but his deal is, oh yeah, well, I can tell you this much. The semen is 100% Aaron's. Here's the thing though. A match doesn't make him the Ripper. So, yes, he does have Sudoku eyes. Yes, he does. Yes, he probably was riddled with mental illness. There seems to be a record of that. He was also a barber, and he could have simply been with a prostitute that night. Now, because he had mental illness and tried to stab his sister, got in a fight, as you guys do, and try to stab each other, He ends up in a mental institution. Now, here's the issue I have with that. If he were Jack the Ripper, he probably would have just done it. Because it happened all after all the killings. He was probably crazy from syphilis. It's a great point. Look how Trump behaves. With that said, and he probably did go crazy from syphilis. That's actually a really good point because a lot of people back then did. So yeah, you're right. Let's keep going and let's hear the rest of what these folks have to say. Yeah, who isn't crazy from syphilis nowadays? Yeah. All right, here we go.
Okay, what else do we know about that fella?
Okay, so he was suffering with schizophrenia. That we know. We know when he was admitted into the asylum, Connie Hatch, that his occupation was hairdresser or barber surgeon. So in those days, you had anatomical knowledge, which when you know the case, you know that the murderer must have had anatomical knowledge to commit the crimes that he did. Now, in 1891, there was a document called the McNaughton Memorandum, and in there, it actually says that Kosminski had strong homicidal tendencies, that he was a strong suspect, and he was prone to solitary vices and auditory hallucinations, which all point to schizophrenia.
So this guy saw things, he heard things that weren't there. Okay? He liked to be alone. He had an antisocial personality. He talked about Moida. He was a little bit skidsy. Still not guilty yet. Do you know how many schizophrenic dudes come every day and don't kill people? It's very interesting. Also, 1 girl so far out of 5. So we have to keep that in mind.
Oh, that's very creepy. Tell me, how did you come about finding this shawl?
Okay, so it was in March 2007. So now we're looking at 18 years ago. It was my mum that called me because it was all over the press that there was a shawl for sale that was purported to be taken from the 4th murder scene.
You remember I told you this guy bought the cum shawl? And then did you see all the different people who exploited over the years? So what he did was he would basically, it seems, I mean, based on everything that the people who worked with him, the forensic scientists, have put out in their reports, it seems that he would get them to do the work, you know, and then they got to take the glory. They got to write their papers on it, but he got to keep the cum shawl. Okay? That's a great question, Tanya. That's another issue. You are very, very perceptive. You know who else pointed that out? All the forensic scientists who wrote journal articles on this guy. You're touching it. Quit touching it. Why is it just laying on that shit? I mean, my God, you actually should be a forensic scientist. You notice that right away. Interesting, huh?
That's Rita, and that's how I was introduced to the shawl.
Wow, it's extraordinary to think. One of Aaron's living relatives, we're told, was involved in helping crack the case. How did that all unfold?
Okay, so yes, so it is his oldest brother's great-great-great-granddaughter. She helped a lot with the case, but actually it was the descendants of the 4th murder victim, Catherine Eddowes. It was her great-great-great-granddaughter that gave us the DNA that we matched with the blood on the shawl. So as you're showing that picture, I'm here now at that actual murder scene right now. So right behind me, where you can see.
Now this part, this dude rules for. That's actually kind of cool that he took us there, because when you go back and you look at all of the pictures of Whitechapel and the area and where the bodies were found, it's a lot of hand-drawn shit. It looks like courtroom art. It looks like what is it? The New Yorker art. It's not really like, and I'm talking about the area, like the actual crime scene photos that have been colorized and stuff. You can actually see quite a bit in those, and it's very disturbing. But the actual area where the women were said to frequent, and the little bar area and the little inn attached to it, it's actually pretty hard to find old school mapping of that is entirely accurate. With pictures of the original structure is even more difficult. There's a few. And I think it's really cool because on the maps, on Google Maps, you can go to these spots now. But even then, you don't really get a super, at least last time I checked, you don't get something super soon. Like when I last checked, it was actually a few years ago. Maybe you can, but it was like 2012. And it kind of cuts you off when you go to enter in this way. So it's very interesting to see this part. This is where one of the victims was found. Yeah, only one of them is. And you know what? I think they actually tore it down or they fucked with it. Because there was an article a while back about the last remaining vestige of this murder and should we get rid of it? I would like to look into that. That's actually, thank you. I'm going to star that, Tombstones. I want to look into that.
Live from a murder scene on Weekend Today. Russell, you're obviously incredibly confident about this. It seems like an incredible breakthrough, but what actually needs to happen for this to be recognised as a legal discovery?
So what we need to do is to write a letter to the Attorney General, which we've done, requesting permission to go to the High Court, to then from the High Court to give us permission to go to the Coroner's Court to have a second inquest. So with the 4 questions, who, what, who, how, where, when, are the questions of an inquest.
So opening a second inquest. I looked into this a little bit. Kind of hard to do. Actually, very hard to do. So in the US, if there is an open case, that is different than an active case, right? So you have open cases and then you have active cases. Active cases means that there has been a tip within the last decade. It is actively being worked. It has been assigned to an investigator. It is a case file that pops up in the computers that they consistently at least try to send off evidence for, have it analyzed, or it is open for investigation for various people within that department jurisdiction. Now, and when I say different people, for example, if it's like a rape, robbery, and murder, you're typically, at least in Texas, you're going to have one investigator for each. So basically, if it's an active case, easy. Like it's already open, not a problem. If it is a cold case, if you will, or an inactive case that is not closed, hence a cold case, but that can still happen with year-old cases. If it's inactive but not closed, typically, it's up to the investigator and the department's discretion and the budget. And also, how important is it to solve this crime? Is it high profile? Typically, the more high profile, the more incentive, right? We solved the Zodiac killer. We solved, East Area Rapist. We solved Lisk. Like, that's kind of a big get, right? It's kind of odd how in America, high-profile cases can take precedent over other cases, but it's just true. It's how it works. In Europe, it seems there's a lot of different steps that need to happen. And if it's a super old case, they're more apt to just let it go. There's no sense in it because the person who did it is already dead, is how they save a lot more money in their criminal justice system than we do ours. And some people will say, well, I want, my family member to get justice. But if the person is already passed, not much that you can do. So with that said, getting an inquest to be opened after this amount of time even though it's physical evidence, it's still circumstantial because he could have come on her before. It's a lot to ask. And I would think that maybe they'd be inclined to do it if this guy would be open to funding it. But it's just an interesting thought.
They've been answered. But how the victim came across the murder, that's where the point we point to, because we now know the name and we've placed the murderer at the murder scene. We want that to be public knowledge now and accepted by the courts.
So the murderer obviously can't be prosecuted, but has it brought any level of closure, finality even, to the descendants of those victims? What's been their reaction?
Oh, yes. So obviously the direct female descendant of the 4th Ripper victim, Catherine Eddowes, Karen Miller, overwhelmed greatly. But again, she wants closure, and so do we've got 10 other descendants of Catherine Ennis family who all want closure. And really what we want is to stop the name being bandied around, because the name actually was created by an enterprising journalist and actually doesn't have anything to do with the murder whatsoever. But this is the name being given to this murderer. And also, really, no more people coming up with false, I would say, suspects. There are only ever 3. So we basically want to close the story. That's really what we're trying to do.
Well, we hope that you and the relatives of those victims can get some closure. Russell, I think this is the first time we've spoken to someone from a murder scene. I have to say, it's been fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us.
So here's the thing. The family wanting closure, it was 137 years ago. I mean, I don't even know who my relatives were that long ago. And I don't need closure for any of that shit. So I don't know where that comes from. That's a little, I'm going to be judgmental here. That's a bit weird. Okay. I guess if you have to share a last name with the guy, but like a lot of people kind of go through that. This guy said he needs closure. Why do you need closure? Because you bought a cum scarf. I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh. I do believe that all the victims deserve closure, but they're past and it's been 137 years. So like, I would just hope that there's more than just that. And I would ask what links this guy to the other 4, because that's kind of important. Because believe it or not, there are 1 or 2 other pretty strong suspects that could have done a 4-fer, and then this guy could have done 1. Like, we don't know. Like, believe it or not, still nobody has brought that up. In every interview I can find, they never bring up the other 4. They just, he's Jake the Ripper. We want to get rid of that name. It's juvenile. It's infantile. It's degrading. It's like, dude, do you even know this is the guy? Because it sounds like you don't. So, like, I don't think the name of an over 100-year-old serial killer is what you need to be worrying about right now. I think this 2-decade-long search for the owner of the semen on your cum towel is it's a lot, because books have been put out on it. It comes out every year or 2 or 3. You keep announcing the same guy. Now that family's pissed off and wants closure. The other ones, it sounds like they want closure from this dude. Just a thought. Maybe I'm an asshole. I don't know. But it's a lot. I want to know the cheese made too, but like, I don't know. They get kind of boring after a while. And I'm like, okay, you were there and then you were there and your name is this. Cool. I mean, some of it's pretty dope, but then I get pretty far along and I'm like, all right, I'm good. Okay. Let's let him finish.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
There you go.
Hey there today.
Okay. Hey there. All right. I'm going to show you some things real quick, because I think it's important. Well, you know what? I'm going to show you the Ashley thing, because I'm going to pause it and show you a bit of a, not really correction, but just kind of, it's an interesting, let's just say the worst timing in history. Happened in this case. Jack the Ripper. Let's check it out. Let me put it on. Homegirl. Here we go. Here she is. Come on, Ashley. Come on, Banfield. Why is it doing this to me? Why does it do this every time? I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to reload it. Fucking nodes. Reload it. Renode it. Am I right? I understand and I wish to proceed. Violent content. Come on, News Nation. Why is Ashley smiling if it's violent content that I'm not old enough to view? YouTube. Come on now. All right. Here we go. Peep this.
Serial killers' nicknames come up a lot on this show, but for my money, the best one probably is the first one, Jack the Ripper. Got to be honest, the name Aaron Kosminski just doesn't have the same impact, doesn't pack the same punch. But tonight it is confirmed, if not yet official, Kosminski did indeed pack.
See? Ashley likes the name. Even Ashley comments, it doesn't pack a punch. It doesn't grab headlines.
Kosminski did indeed pack the same punch as Jack because.
You do? Tell them to get rid of her.
They are one and the same. Let me take you back almost 140 years to the Whitechapel area of London. This is where I need to stop and warn you that
This is where I need to stop and warn you. She does not do a Cagney accent. I'm very pissed off.
Photos I'm going to show are graphic. At least 5 women were slashed to death on those cobblestone streets. Their organs were removed. It happened between August and November of 1888. Aaron Kosminski was a 23-year-old immigrant who'd come to London years earlier from Poland. His occupation, can't make it up, barber. Person of interest was not a term back then, but it really would have applied because police looked at Kosminski. They just never had enough evidence to arrest him. They really never had much evidence, period. Fingerprints weren't even an acceptable crime-fighting tool in Britain until almost a decade later. That is how cold this case is. But that
So that's the part that I was like, you know what, Ashley, you're not so bad after all. You're not so bad after all. Because while she did do a bad and pretty much lie and go, it is confirmed. It's not. It's not confirmed, Ashley. Calm down. She did do a good because she taught us something pretty cool. And I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to show you what she taught us. That is pretty cool. Hold on. Let me pull it up for you. I'm going to show you a guy's face. Let me show you this fella. Let me show you this guy's big old mug. All right. She said something that I really loved because it's one of those nerd facts that I like to throw out. And to hear someone else throw it out, I was like, oh, I caught that, Ashley. Touche. Maybe you're kind of dope after all, you silly bitch. So, anybody know who this fella is? He's not your grandpa. Who is he? Who is he? You guys know? You guys know? So Ashley said something interesting there. She said that they weren't able to get fingerprints or a lot of other modern forensics, basically. But she did say fingerprints that, you know, they weren't able to get fingerprints, any of that fun forensic shit that you need for an investigation. Because fingerprint analysis in forensics took a whole decade, a whole fucking decade for them to discover after the killings. And I love that. I love that because that is something that I also learned in crime school. And it was one of my favorite things to learn. Because when we learned about things like forensic odontology and the first biometrics researcher and the founder of fingerprinting, I was like, oh my God, I could etch the Stussy S in my desk with the boner I had. This fella right here is Juan Vucetich. And in 1892, he was an Argentinian chief of police. He was the chief of police in Argentina. Fuck. I always say it wrong. Argentina. Tina, like your friend in middle school, you stupid bitch. Why can't I never? I always say Argentina and I fuck it up and people laugh at me. I'm sorry. Argentina. He created the first method of recording fingerprints and putting them on file. So he's the first guy that was like, hey, look at these things on the ends of their fingers. Notice how they're all fucking different? What if we took it and we stuck it in the sink and then we put it on paper and then when they do a bad, we can go, was it you? And we can compare it to other bads around town. So this guy did that. He is Argentinian and his name is Juan. That was in 1892. Okay, 1888 is when Jack the Ripper. Fuck, what is wrong with me? I need coffee. Hold on. Is there a thing where it's dyslexic, but it's just saying it? Is that what it is? Like you just say it wrong? Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. So this guy, he was the one, he said, hey, you know what? We're going to put this on file. We're going to save it. We're going to compare the bads. It's going to be fine. But the problem was 4 years before is when Jack the Ripper happened. 4 years. Imagine that. The worst crime of ever. And they really need fingerprints, but they haven't been invented yet. They get invented 4 years after. I mean, up until that point, Jack the Ripper was the main bad guy on Earth. And H.H. Holmes, as far as like serial killers go. You know, there's also like other bad guys later. My point is, this fella, he was pretty cool. And I thought that was cool that she brought that up. But she did say a decade later, and it was really only 4 years later. Now, let me show you another cool dude. Because we love heels, all right? And we love baby faces. We love wrestling. We love head-to-head people. This, anybody know who this guy is? It's his arch nemesis. This is that other guy's anti-guy. That's his evil guy. That's the guy he fights against. That's his fucking heel. That's the, okay. If the other guy, if Juan, right? If Juan was like, what wrestler would Juan be? If Juan was Eddie Guerrero in Latino Heat, okay, this fellow over here would have been Chris Benoit. And I'm not saying he killed his family. Okay, we could call him Bizarro Juan. That's not his real name. But this was his arch nemesis, okay? This was the Shawn Michaels to his Undertaker. This is the Shawn Michaels to his Razor Ramon. This is the Shawn Michaels to his Triple. Okay, actually, Shawn Michaels got a lot of fights. This is Shawn to Brett. This is Shawn and Brett, okay? This is Brett. All right, Juan is Shawn. That's Shawn Vucetich. All right, this is Brett, a.k.a. Alphonse Bertillon. I think it's Bertillon, but it's French. I never say it right. I just call him Alfonso, and then I do the fucking dance from Fresh Prince. He was a French guy. He was a criminologist. He was an anthropologist, and he created the first system of physical measurements, photography, and record keeping that police could use to identify recidivism in criminals. So, check yourself, bitch. Before him, suspects were only identified through eyewitness accounts and unorganized files of photographs. Who does that sound like? Commonwealth. Could you imagine before this fucking hottie came along? It was Jen McCabe every day, baby. Who did Jen say did it? That's who did it. That's who did it. Whoever Jen McCabe saw is who did it, according to science, before this guy came around. This guy said, let's hold off. Let's hold off and let's measure these footprints in the snow. Okay? Before this homie came along, it was all, who did you see? And nobody even cared if you were drunk when you pointed at it. If you pointed over at the crime scene and that guy shot that guy, and I'm high on crystal meth, the cops would be like, I trust you. And that was just it. So what he decided to do is he said, let's take a ruler and let's put it next to the thing, and then let's take a picture of it. If we're not going to take a picture of it, let's draw it or trace it. He invented crime scene photography. He invented the entire concept of mapping a crime scene. Absolutely, his eyes are focused on different things. So maybe he should be the Shawn Michaels. That's actually a really good point. He's Shawn Michaels and Juan is Brett. These two arch nemesis. Anyway, these two fuckers, literally within 5 years of Jack the Ripper fucking up everything in Whitechapel, these two hose beasts come along and get in a battle of forensics. And this one that you're looking at, Shawn Michaels, Alphonse, this motherfucker hated fingerprinting. He hated fingerprinting. Like, he hated it so much, he wrote shit about it. He was like, fucking fingerprints. He was like those bitches in their Discord. Just fucking, I bet they're hired by the McAlberts. He was mad. He was mad. He was like, Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Argentinian dude. Oh, I'm sorry, Brett the Hitman Hart. I'm sorry. Did you? Oh, you think fingerprints are going to solve it? Well, guess what? I'm going to measure this fucking foot and you're going to look like a dick. And then other guy goes, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to take prints of these fingers and I'm not just going to take the prints. I'm going to collect them. I'm going to start a database. And this guy's like, oh, yeah, you're going to start a fucking database? Oh, you're going to start doing, well, guess what, bitch? Me too. And he started measuring skulls. He said, let me take a look at your skull, homie. You look different. You look like you're from the South End. You look like you're a different race. You look like you're a different culture. You look like you're from India. You look like you're from Asia. Let me measure your fucking heads. And now, under his way of thinking, if you're white, your head probably looks like this. If you're black, your head probably looks like this. If you're Asian, your head's probably this shape. If you're a woman, your nose is probably curved in this way. You're going to have more feminine features. He's the guy who said all of our bodies are different like snowflakes and let me touch it and let me measure it. And we went, cool, but only if we're dead. Yikes. The other guy said, let me see your fingers. Ew. And for some reason, these motherfuckers hated each other. In fact, I would venture to say that this guy hated the other guy. And the other guy was like, what? You hate me? Actually, I'm Juan. And we know who that is. And it's like, why you fucking deep dicking on me, dude? We could both do our thing. This guy used to blame all the problems in forensics on the other guy, but they were in different countries. Like, they didn't have the internet. This dude thought fingerprinting was such bullshit. And then guess what happened? He came around. He said, okay, I studied the hands. You right. Okay. But by then, it was all fucked because also, who gives a shit? The biggest case of the century happened 5 years before you guys figured that shit out. Now what are you going to do? And neither one of you live there. Now what are you going to do? Neither one of them work with Scotland Yard, yet they developed everything that London used in early policing, in early forensic techniques. They basically set up the platform for forensic science as we know it. Because think about it, before these two guys got in their little fucking bitch fit, there was no real challenges to forensic science. It was, oh, she's dead, throw her in the mud, let the pigs eat her, throw her in the fucking trough. She's fucking dead, feed her to the fucking pigs. They didn't have funerals. Nobody wept. I mean, sometimes, I guess if you were rich. I imagine it was something like Life of Brian, or wait, what was it? The Monty Python, where he's like, I've been a priest. Help, I've been a priest. Search for the Holy Grail. It's a lot like that. The people are there just scraping mud in and they're just fucking carting bodies around. Like fucking back in the day, there were plagues and shit. They're just like, put it on that pile. No one gave a shit. But these were women who were down on their luck, you know? They serviced the men. And then one of them was not a servicer of men. So that kind of broke victim profiling down, huh? That kind of put a little gash in that. Anyway, Alphonse and Juan, they had their fucking fights. All right. And they were from afar. It was like yelling, that guy's a fucking bitch in the distance in a different country, writing shit about it. And then later on being like, maybe we'll adapt it. They're right. So the reason I'm showing you this is because I like that Ashley brought it up. I like that she brought it up. She said 10 years, that's fine. It was 4 or 5. Who's nitpicking? I am. But I like that she brought it up because it is true. I mean, the worst timing in history. The worst timing in history. I mean, think about it. Juan came out with fingerprinting literally 4 years. Not even that. It was probably 3 years and a little bit of change. This dude. Let me pull him up. Well, you already saw him. You saw Juan. Just kind of pisses me off. Because it's like, damn, how close? Could you imagine that something happened and then, they said, nope, not until this DNA is invented. We can't figure it out. And then just 4 years later, it's invented and they go, that case is way back in the distance. Nothing we can do now. And then I got to thinking, damn, that's kind of what's going on with Karen, right? 3 years later, and the defense is like, please, can we test the house now? Please. It's like, well, now it's been years. Sure, I guess. Like, what is that? God damn it. The problem is the technology was available. Now, with this one, it wasn't. It's just terrible timing. 137 years. Yeah, it was. It was when Sherlock Holmes was alive. And Sherlock Holmes was said to have been influenced, right, by some of the violent surroundings and things going on. I mean, this is old school as fuck. And we got these two guys over here beefing. They got murders to solve. I mean, technically, Alphonse, homie over here, who I showed you earlier, mustache guy. The second guy, they literally call him the king of biometrics, the father of biometrics. He's the one who discovered facial mapping as we know it. Other dude said, fingerprints, toe prints. Like, that's important. That's a huge deal. It's just so sad it happened right fucking after. Damn. Okay, here's the other thing I'm going to show you guys before we let her continue. And this is called an expression of concern. Forensic investigation of a shawl linked to Jack the Ripper. I'm going to pop myself down and pop an H on this box so we know hornets are in it. All right. Let me get myself out of here so you can read it. And I'm going to increase the size. Because I know you're all probably stoned. So this is from the Journal of Forensic Science. Do you remember earlier in the video we were watching, he's like, we've had people do forensic write-ups on this shawl. So they did. And when the person did the forensic write-up linking the shawl to Jack the Ripper, the entire Journal of Forensic Science world went, that's assault, because A, you have to be a doctor. You have to be an actual forensic scientist or a doctor or be deep as fuck in forensics and have a lot of certifications to publish yourself in this. To get accepted for publishing takes a lot. You pretty much got to be a big smarty pants. To get accepted to publish in it, that's a big fucking deal. But then to get published in it and to put some shit that is wildly off base, kind of crazy. So they had these fellas who tested the cum shawl and said, yo, this belongs to a Pollock. And it's this guy, and he did all the murders because some of this cum was on one woman. And a couple of doctors and forensic researchers said, I don't like this article being published in a journal for forensic science that I publish in because this article is whack. And I don't want to be affiliated with whackness. So this one right here, as you can see, is a response to the expression of concern. Now look at the time difference. This one was published March 12th, 2019. And there is a follow-up, a response to the expression of concern. So the expression of concern is a response to the Jack the Ripper shawl findings. And then somebody else got pissed at this article years later and said, now we got to go back and fucking update it again. So it is a three-way game of telephone between people who disagree about the cum shawl. We can just call it we'll just call it the shawl. How's that? We'll just call it the shawl. That's a good point. Okay, so let's read this. It's short. We're not going to read the full text. I will link this below so you can read the full text. I'm just going to read you the summaries, okay? A set of historic murders known as Jack the Ripper murders started in London in August 1888. The killer's identity has remained a mystery to date. Here we describe the investigation of, to our knowledge, the only remaining physical evidence linked to these murders recovered from one of the victims at the scene of the crime. We applied novel, minimally destructive techniques for sample recovery from forensically relevant stains on the evidence and separated single cells linked to the suspect, followed by phenotypic analysis. The mitochondrial DNA profiles of both the victim and the suspect matched the corresponding reference samples. Reference samples meaning people who are related to that person, aka the suspect, Aaron, fortifying the link of evidence to the crime scene. Genomic data from single cells recovered from the evidence was amplified, and the phenotypic information acquired matched the only witness statement regarded as reliable. Remember, witness statements were considered canon. That is how you did it back then. Before 5 years before fingerprinting, that's how they did it. To our knowledge, this is the most advanced study to date regarding this case. So that is what they are discussing. And the response was essentially that they didn't fucking do it right. And I'm going to put that up so you can read it. It's very long. It goes in depth. It's like, here's every single thing that they did wrong. And essentially they say what you guys have been saying in the chat. What Tombstones was saying earlier, what a bunch of you have said. We don't know that there's no way to say he was connected to all 5, right? Because there's no DNA on the other 4 that we can compare it to. It's rather presumptive. We don't know the order of the staining of the fluids. We have yet to basically rule out or even check for other matching forensic fluids or forensic fluid testing that we could have done, because once we got this profile from this stain, that's it. Like, there's just so many things that they did wrong. The mishandling of it, touching it without gloves, stuff like that. So they go on and they say that. Now, this is a follow-up. So that was 5 years ago. There was the response to that finding, right? So see where it says concerns raised for this article? So expression of concern is what they're responding to. Here is the response to the expression of concern. Another response of concern, which I find very funny for forensic scientists to do. I don't like what you put out. I don't think that it is forensically sound. So I'm going to voice concern by writing about it. Okay. Expression of concern. This is J. Luhelanen and D. Miller, forensic investigation of a shawl linked to Jack the Ripper. They give you this, what we're responding to, and this is the actual full concerning message that they posted originally as their published article. This expression of concern is for the above article published online 12th of March 2019 in Wiley Online Library. So they are responding to the response that is basically attributing the basis of their analysis around the Wiley Online Library findings of cum shawl, or shawl with seminal fluids on it. I apologize. It has been published by agreement between the editor-in-chief, Michael Pete, and the publisher, Wiley Periodicals, LLC, on behalf of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. Following an investigation by the publisher. So the publisher of this fucking forensic science magazine online got involved. Said, okay, I'm going to have to go over this now because you kids are fighting. So this is what he says. Following an investigation by the publisher, the expression of concern has been agreed due to concerns raised by third parties after publication regarding the conclusions drawn from the mitochondrial DNA analysis performed by the authors. Related concerns were also summarized in 2 letters to the editors published, and they link them both here, which I will link below, published by the journal, the second of which we saw, the first of which is the one where they're like, look what I fucking did. I found this shawl, and it links. The second is the concern, published by the journal, to which authors have responded with their own letters to the editor. So then the authors saw each other's disses, and it became a rap battle, okay? Now these motherfuckers are like, it's roast battle, it's rap battle, but instead of speaking directly to them, they're doing passive-aggressive forensic scientist shit, and they are publishing well-thought-out forensic articles talking shit to each other. Why can't my beefs be like that? I want to have a nerd beef with a forensic scientist. At least these exposés get fucking published. Sorry. During the investigation, the publisher and editor-in-chief made every effort to obtain from the authors the original raw data. Ooh, sound familiar? Even if it's 137 years old, we got to know the chain of custody. Give me that raw data too. I want to look inside that scarf. I want to see the metadata. Give me the EXIF data from the seminal fluid. Okay. From the mitochondrial DNA analysis. However, the authors stated that the data were no longer available. I have hard times saying that without cringing. Is that how you say it? It does not sound right. However, the author stated that the data were no longer was no longer available. Why does it say were? I thought we were scientists. Due to instrument data failure and other complications. So we don't got the data because the machines we used to get the data broke. And there's other complications. That sounds like a problem. This sounds like the Commonwealth. Through further investigation, it was concluded that because it was not possible to examine the original data, I think by data they mean shawl. No, I know exactly what they mean. Because when I read this, I remember being like, this is too much and getting really lost in it. That was... So when they're saying data, they're talking about the actual mitochondrial DNA breakdown over the course of 20 years. And they wanted to see every single piece that was tested. And they wanted to see the microscopic pictures that were taken. And they wanted to see the actual breakdown from the machines, from the computers, of all of the data, of every link, of the haplotype, everything. They wanted to know all of it. They wanted alleles, everything. And they were like, boop, we lost it. But trust us, it's connected. Fucking shit. And then one dude tried to call HIPAA. He was like, HIPAA, because he was a fucking American. Through further investigation, it was concluded that because it was not possible to examine the original data, no determination could be made regarding the third-party complaints. The journal is issuing this expression of concern because the concerns regarding the data and the results presented cannot be resolved. The authors have been informed about this expression of concern and agree to its publication. So the authors who said, we found it, like they're fucking Sarah finding the fucking lost city in Land Before Time. They're like, you know what? Fine. We don't have the data. You could just publish it and call us bullshit. We don't care. You're just a journal of medicine. No big deal. You're just a journal of forensic science. No big deal. You're just a bunch of scientists. Whatever. Fuck you. We're going to go on Oprah. And then they did. They were like, we're going to go on all the television shows anyway. Fuck you. And now they're doing it. Now they're making the rounds to tell people the same thing that they've told people every couple of years. And this time, they got Ashley Banfield. So let's let her finish. Because I hate interrupting. But yeah, that was pretty cool that she brought up the whole thing about the fingerprint. Anyway, here you go.
Certainty about Aaron Kosminski did not stop Madame Tussauds from immortalizing him in wax and including him in the Jack the Ripper Chamber of Horrors. But beyond that, and certainly before that, there was nothing definitively tying him to the Ripper until now. And what is that evidence, you ask? I thought you would. It seems the Ripper's fourth victim, Catherine Eddowes, was wearing a shawl the night that she and one other victim were killed just minutes apart, killed and mutilated. The shawl was bloodstained, of course, and somehow in 2007 it was put up for auction. The winning bidder was an author and Jack the Ripper scholar named Russell Edwards, and Edwards went right to work testing the century-old shawl for DNA. And the results? A 100% match to Aaron Kosminski by way of his oldest brother's great-great-granddaughter, who provided a sample for comparison.
Are you talking about Ashley?
Edwards now wants a formal inquest to officially put one of history's greatest mysteries to rest. And though it is far too late for Kosminski to pay for his crimes, you might be comforted to know that he did end up locked up for the rest of his life in a mental asylum, being treated for schizophrenia. There's no word on...
Ashley, why would I be comforted to know that? Ashley, I think the bigger question is, why does it comfort you to know that a man is suffering from the bouts of schizophrenia in a mental institution until he died? Why does that help you sleep at night, Ashley?
Whether any other patients in that sanatorium turned up dead or missing.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find new.
Yeah, she's super into wax, people. What a shocker, right? Doesn't look it. Yeah, I don't think she knows he's dead. I think she's like, let's get this perp. He could be in Florida. I bet he's in Florida with Stephen Stearns. How Jack the Ripper is connected to Stephen Stearns next at 9. It's weird to see someone smiling and saying, don't worry, he's in the bouts of schizophrenia. Jesus. He's dead, ma'am. He's been dead for over 100 years. I do appreciate her bringing up that spot for me to bump it in and talk some nerd shit. Okay, you guys wanted it. You can fucking have it. You can fucking have it. But we are listening to People Suit again, and I'll have none of it otherwise, okay? And then I'm gonna go watch Michelle McCool on Marrying the Undertaker, Lay Cool, and Mick Foley. Anyway, you guys are the best. Jack the Ripper, that guy's probably not, but he's definitely a dude who cummed on a lady, and then she ended up dead. And we don't know if he did it to her or all the ladies. No, I believe it was in the twofer. Like, he killed 2 at once. The third time, let me double check because I have my timeline right here. It was Catherine Eddowson, and that was September 30th, 1888. That was the same night he killed Elizabeth Stride. So that was his 4th victim, and Mary Jane Kelly was his 5th. So yeah, he had a snack break. And then, so that would have been his 2nd murder of the night. So, yikes. He was probably the best suspect. Yeah, absolutely. But there were also 2 other suspects that were pretty damn good for the other 4, maybe even closer than him. So that's a problem. That's assault. I'm not saying he didn't kill Catherine. He maybe could have, but to say he's Jack the Ripper when that's all you got, I don't know. I mean, I wish they could solve it, but like, I don't know what court that would hold up in. Like, that's some serious, like, here's the thing. If there was even circumstantial, but there can't be really, because nobody's alive from back then. And literally the exact procedure and protocol was, what did the witness say? That's who did it. You could just, like, people lied all the time. Like, he fucking did it. And then people just went to jail or got murdered. Like, okay, now we're going to kill him. We're going to hang that guy because she said he did it. I mean, goddamn. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to keep playing this. I'm going to tell you guys good night. I think that's pretty much it. You're the best. I'm sorry to say that this is probably another Gary Francis Post thing or another Zodiac Cipher thing. While they have solved a few of the ciphers, that one missing brick of cipher, they love to just pop out with, well, I invented a robot and it was on TV and it solved it and it says that it's fucking Ronald Reagan. It's like, Jesus Christ. So, it is what it is. It's another roundabout. The whole reason I even thought to do this today is because I saw so many people retweeting that, and then I retweeted it to be funny, like, look at this shit, because it has the big thing under it. And it's like, this has been pointed out as a bullshit guy who tweets bullshit. I thought it was very funny, but then people were asking me like, oh my God, aren't you excited they solved all? I was like, dude, I was just being sarcastic. Oh my God. Oh no, what have I done? So I figured I'd do this. and tell you guys a little more about it. So you're probably going to hear that this guy that okay, here's what's going to happen. Every 2 to 3 years, maybe even annually now, you're going to see a TikTok or a pop rock or whatever, or a ding dong or whatever the next thing is, a tweet, whatever the next fucking big wave of fucking social media is. You're going to see a ping, a telaroo, whatever they call it, a twiddly dum, and it's going to be like, bing, 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 guess what? This fucking guy, they found this guy, and he's a Polak, and it was from this towel, and ta-da, we just discovered it is a 100%. You're going to see that every few years, if not every year. Yeah, and you're going to hear about, for sure, Charles, you're absolutely right. You're going to hear about it for a little while now. It's going to go away, and then you're going to, dude, ain't nothing to look into on that. Man got shot in the head. I think Woody Harrelson's dad fucking did it. And that's only because he admitted to it a lot. And he was a fucking assassin. He's in prison for murdering a judge in San Antonio. And it seems like type of shit he'd do. Or it could have been fucking whoever they thought. I don't know. But this is definitely going to pop up a few more times. And when it does, sometimes you got to pop up and show. Anyway, when it does, just know it's assault. We don't know that yet. We're going to need to see more connections to the other 4, at least for me. What do you think? You think he wiped his junk on it? Okay, Francis. Okay. All right, everyone go to bed. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Puts the lotion on his skin.
Inappropriate.
Or else it gets the hose again. 1, 2, 3, 4. People soon, save my skin for people soon. Gonna wear it all over town. Gonna dig 'em up and skin 'em down and wear my people suit around. People suit is looking mighty sharp.
Also, if you want me to do a case, I will look up, I'll write this down. Say, was it the CIA? Cool. Yeah, send me, send me the cases you think I should cover. I'll take a peep. I got a whole bunch I want to cover that we're about to fucking launch on. We're going to launch a bunch of shit that I've actually been working on for a few months, like quite a few. And I like to just dabble in a little bit at a time till they're all done. And it's like, pop, 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 pop. Like Beyonce, drop some lemonade on you. Probably not that good, but you know what I mean? I'm going to try my best. So like if you got like, yeah, it is. It absolutely is. 100%. And I believe there's an alien in my room last night. Who the hell was in my bed? I think that's what Ricky was going for also. Butthole surfers. But yeah. If you guys have a case that you want me to cover, you want to talk about, or stuff like that, send it to me in my email. I'll put the scrolly thing that's got all my contact shit. And also, we still have the phone lines available and open. If you want to call the Obiology line, I will go copy paste that for you. Unless, do I have it right here? Hold on, let me see if I have it right here available for you guys. I'll type it in the chat. If not, I'm going to put the phone number. I'm going to put the phone number up. There you go. That's who you call. Call and leave me a message. I cleared out the old messages after downloading them all, so we have them forever. I'm going to edit out y'all's ding dong names, and then I'm going to put like a long one with all of them on it from our first run. Okay? If you want to get in on that, if you want to squeeze in there and be a part of that, call me right now. Leave a message. Call me right now and leave a message. Yep. Just email me those, though. Email me those. And well, we're not going to do Carl Panzram, for fuck's sake. Come on. We know what he did. Let's try to focus on unsolved. How about that? Unsolved or cold cases, if you guys want to see anything like that. All right. We're not going to fucking do Jimmy Hoffa. Okay, we'll do Jimmy Hoffa. All right. Love you guys. You have the best day and life. Here we go. For real. Fucking call me, because now I'm starting the song over. But fucking call me. Call your dad. Say whatever you want. It doesn't have to be an apology. You just call and do weird noises. You can tell me a story. You can cry and scream about your ex. I don't care. Just know that everyone's going to listen to it, so don't leave your name. God bless.
Well, it puts the lotion on his skin, or else it gets the hose again. mighty sharp. Oh, well, poor old Eddie loved the dead, dug up their grave, chopped off their heads, he made them into clothes he could wear. Well, his works of art was awful dark, his red and evil, awful sharp, he crafted him an outfit debonair. It was a people suit, save my skin for people suit, gonna wear it all over town. Gonna dig them up and skin them down and wear my people suit around. People suit is looking mighty sharp. Oh, well, Ned society. So divine, make people curtains, people wise. I'm sure that Martha Stewart would be proud. Well, his needlework go in berserk and whole thing rolled on him a jerk. Go and we'll raise a glass and sing about. We're people suit, save my skin for people suit. Gonna wear it all over town. Gonna dig them up and skin them down and wear my people suit around. People suit is looking mighty sharp. Oh, they want I need a shovel and some scissors, boys. Dig them up, get them down, skin them down, and wear my people suit all over town. Dig them up and skin them down, and wear my people suit around. People suit is looking mighty sharp. Well, it puts a lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. It puts a lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. People suit is looking mighty sharp. People suit is looking mighty sharp.
Living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. Oh yeah, you can find them at the market. We talking about flea market. Montgomery, it's just like a mini mall. Oh yeah, come shop with us. I said flea market. Montgomery, it's just like a mini mall. Hey, you heard me. Come shop. Living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. We got it. You need it. You'll find it. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, you heard me. Come shop. I said flea market. Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey. Living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. Oh yeah, you can find them at the market. We talking about flea market. Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, don't stop. Let's make it a dance. Come on now, to the left, to the right. Let's do this dance. Hey, to the left, to the right. Let's make this a dance. Flea market, Montgomery. It keeps you jumping. It's just like a mini mall. Check it out now, everybody. Like this now. Hey, flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Don't stop. Let's dance. Flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall.
Let's bring it on down now. Oh yeah, I know you're gonna like this. Come on now.
It's just like,
you know what I'm saying.
it's just like,
You know what I mean.
it's just like,
You know it. So why don't you just come on and say it?
it's just like